I was looking for seeds yesterday for lavender and rosemary, which I want to plant a lot of those plants around the edges of the wall and, you know, the concrete patio. And, you know, just to have a nice little hedge of each one of them, and hopefully it'll keep the deer away from the house, and maybe I can plant some other things if they're not coming around. Mind you, the fact that we're here, they have not come around yesterday at all. Anyway, I could not find any seeds, but that's okay, I'll keep looking. I did in fact find a small rosemary plant, and it was a little bit bigger than this before I cut it up for propagation. Now what I did is I'm looking for stems like this one here maybe, where I can cut off about 4 inches or so. And you don't want to cut right into beyond where leaves are growing, otherwise that's the end of that stem, it won't grow anymore. So you don't want the bottom of it all just woody and just top leaves unless you want to get rid of it. But this is still young, and as you can see here, I trimmed the top off right there. Anyway, I cut in here, you know, I've cut as much away as I dared, because I still want this plant to survive. And it doesn't tell me what kind of rosemary. I mean, there's so many different kinds, but I wish sometimes they would label these a little bit more specifically, but they don't, unless you go to a herb store, and then you'll get different ones. And one of the main rosemarys that grow in a cooler climate is called ARP, A-R-P. I'm aware of that, having tried to grow it in Canada. It still didn't survive the winters there. Grew beautifully, but did not survive the winters. Anyway, so I've got, this is the original plant, and I will probably put this one in the ground pretty much right away. But meanwhile, I have taken off, as I said, little stems, and that's what you can see that I've cut off here. So it's still woody, but it's still tender. And there was still some branch left on that. So you strip away the bottom, and when you strip it away, you even have these little shoots growing off of that too. That one is a bit tiny. So I kept those. I'm going to show you what I did with those. But meanwhile, I ended up getting, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these to propagate, and I'm just putting them in water right now. So that's all that I have done, is put these in water, and they should, I mean, there are hundreds of different methods, and you can get rooting hormones and put them in the soil and all of that, but don't have a lot of time, don't have a lot of effort. I've got so many things to do, so this was quick and easy. So I've done that. Now, the little offshoots that tend to grow little branches, I have taken them off, and I have put them in this little, I picked up this tray, 2 of them actually, from the thrift store, Salvation Army thrift store in Canada. They were about $2.50 a piece for these, and they're about $12–15 anywhere. So I did manage to find a little bit of space in the car and bring them down here, because I knew I wanted to start some seedlings. And so I took those little offshoots and I just stuck them in these little pods. They look like that, and keep these good and moist. They've got a cover. Now I've got 6, 12, 24 of these. You know, normally I would have thrown those out if they were on larger branches, if my rosemary, the initial plant, was much bigger. But right now I'm starting off with a little plant, and I think that these little ones tend to root a whole lot easier than sometimes than the bigger ones do. We'll see what happens with these. But if all goes well, I should have, you know, whatever the count was there, and another 24 here. I don't expect all of these will survive. I suspect some of them will die, but that's okay too. I've got a lot of these, and if need be, when that plant grows, I could pull more off. And that's probably the easiest way to propagate rosemary. I know rosemary can be a little difficult to grow from seed, so did that as well. Okay. Now, also, when I left the US the last time, I took 2 cuttings off my bay tree and, just stuck them on the window ledge here in water, and they've survived. And it's been that was July sometime, and it's October. The water was pretty murky and muddy, and as you can see, they really did not root. Now, bay trees are kind of difficult to root at best, but they still look healthy. They look like they were putting out a new shoot there. See, as you can see, there's one there, and this one was also attempting to put out a shoot. So it's got one dead leaf there, but it's putting out a leaf over there. Now I'm going to put these back in the water, and just hopefully they will root before during the whole time that I'm here. And I will probably put them in the ground someplace if they do. Now, I do have a tendency to take bay tree cuttings. I've done that many times in the past. Just in case I lose my main one, I can grow a few others. In the past, all I've done is given them away in the end. Managed to keep my main one alive until I didn't. And then at that point, I didn't have cuttings because I gave it away. So, I'm going to try to start a few new plants here this way, and hopefully these will root, and I'll put them in the ground if and when they do. Now these guys, I'm just going to put on their little dome to keep the moisture in, and I'm going to put these back on the window ledge. That's where they were yesterday when I put them together. So I'll put them back on the window ledge and just check on them every day or so to see if there's anything happening. And yes, you will see roots exploding out of these little things if they do take and they do root. So that's it for now. Unfortunately, I can't show you the finished product yet because it'll be at least a couple of weeks before we see any activity. Okay. And here is also 2 cuttings from the basil plant that I have outside in the big pot. These smell delicious. Oh, they're amazing. Anyway, basil is one of the easiest things to propagate. Once again, just take a cutting, stick it in water, and this will root much, much faster than any of the other plants that I've got. So you can keep basil growing all winter long by taking cuttings from your initial plant and just reroot it. But just an amazing smell. Basil is wonderful in a tomato salad. So, like when I make a tomato salad, basically I just chop up garlic, chop up basil, and oil and vinegar, and a bit of salt, and oh, yummy, it's straight tomato salad. Maybe I'll put a little bit of onion in it, but that is it. So, beautiful. Okay, that's it for my propagation while I'm here. I've just got here a couple of days. Well, we've been here 2 nights now, so lots to do. I have to go to the taxation office today, try and make sure that we get the discounts that are available to us, seniors discount and maybe homestead exemption. I think that we qualify for both of those, and that should make my tax bill a little smaller, which is always a good thing because there is so much that needs to be done here. We definitely did buy a fixer-upper. There's no doubt about that. This is not comfort living. This is making do, but that's okay. We're happy with that. We're happy to be busy. We're happy to be active and have challenges ahead of us. So no issue there. Okay. Now, the one last thing before I go is that I had made some sourdough starter before I left. That was last July. And of course, you can put it in the refrigerator, and it will slow down the activation for, you can stop feeding it for a week or two if it's in the fridge. And of course, this has been months. But I gave it a few feedings already, and it's cool here. Like, nights are cool now. They're in the 50s. So I think if it had been warmer, this would have been bubbling like crazy. But it is active, and I'm going to give it another feeding or two, and then I will try to make some sourdough bread. I haven't made any in a long time, but I did bring a little cast iron container for it. So we'll see if I can make some homemade bread. Okay, but it's good to keep sourdough starter alive. Okay.